What's the shirt mean?
Oh, they suck. They're the worst. They're the problem with this country.
What can we do to bridge the divide in the country?
Bridge the divide in the country. I don't know. Close the borders. Yeah.
With the divide between Americans, what can we do to bridge the divide between Americans?
I don't know. You want to help me out here?
Probably talk to each other more, listen to each other.
Less name calling?
Yeah, I'd say so.
And the shirt says?
Liberals suck.
What do you think about climate change?
I just think it's all fake for their money and to keep, like the virus, they lock us down and everything else, take things from us.
It's a pretty hot day today, right?
Yeah, it's hot. But
It's the all-time record for this date in Milwaukee.
is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm just here to support Trump, but
Did you catch a little bit of heat stroke earlier?
yeah, I sure did. But I'll be all right.
What do you think about global warming?
I just don't believe it. I think it's all fake.
Do you have your passport?
Somewhere.
Can I see your passport, please? Do you have your visa?
I don't need a visa, sir. I am a U.S. citizen.
When did you become a U.S. citizen?
When? 2006.
Okay. Well, do you have your passport?
In safe, but I don't have.
This is going to happen more and more. The Supreme Court cleared the way for federal agents to racially profile immigrants based on their color of skin, accent, and their race. And this is going to impact U.S. citizens like this woman who looks Hispanic. Previous federal courts said federal agents cannot use race, where people work, what they look like, to detain them. The Supreme Court says no, it's making their job more complicated and will allow it. As a result, you're going to see more people being detained, including U.S. citizens. This is going to harm families and small businesses. The fight is not over. We'll see more appeals on this, but this is a sad day for immigration and for immigrants. Call me for updates just like this one, Dave.
Tucker Carlson when he was calling her Carmelo and stuff like that. I like Carmelo.
What did that mean?
I don't know. He just liked to screw her name up because all the libs, the Dems, they hate when you mess up her name and all that. So you can't say how is it? You have to say Kamala, not Kamala. You know. So
the screwing up her name is to get under her skin.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. Yeah.
So what did Tucker say?
He used to say Carmelo, just like that. He'd be like, "We're gonna talk about Carmelo."
Yeah, and
just to get under her skin, like you said.
And you thought you loved it.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah, Tucker was great. You know.
But what's the joke exactly?
I don't know. She's just horrible. You know, she shouldn't even be running right now. You know, they just moved him out, had a coup, and moved her right on in.
But how would saying her name like that prove that she was horrible?
Oh, it doesn't prove that. You know, it's just a dig. That's all. Doesn't mean that, you know, to saying a name that the person's horrible. It's just a dig. That's all.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm just trying to figure out how it's a dig. Say it one more time. How he would say it?
Carmelo. You had to hear it from him.
Yeah, one of those had to be there. Yeah, he had to be there.
Yeah.
Wow. That was pure cringe to watch. But honestly, that's exactly the kind of cringe that defines MAGA. These are folks who operate purely on vibes. Did you catch how that man said Kamala was a terrible person based entirely on some dumb joke Tucker used to make about her name? And when pressed, he basically admitted it was just a dig. You know, vibes. And speaking of voting based on vibes, you know who else got caught in that trap? Latinos for Trump. Yep, they caught the MAGA bug too. Never mind that Trump openly promised to deport them left, right, and center. And recently, the Supreme Court gave ICE even more power, ruling that agents can profile you based on how you look. So it doesn't matter if your family's been American for generations. If you don't fit Stephen Miller's fantasy lookbook, you might be headed for alligator Alcatraz before you can even prove your citizenship. And a whole lot of them have, quite literally, effed around and found out. Before we dive deeper, real quick, I've seen a few comments about the audio jumping up and down in some clips. Please bear with me. I'm still learning this whole YouTube editing thing. Some videos come in with low sound, and I do my best to balance it with what I know so far. So don't crash out on me in the comments, okay? For those who get it, thank you so much. All right, let's jump into this FAFO madness. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Let's roll the clips.
So the leader of The leader of Latinos for Trump, Cuban edition. Sorry. Hector Luis Valdez Cocho. Yeah, he's been detained by ICE. Ay, Billboard for Donald Trump. The wildest part about this is Donald Trump was very clear that he's going after criminals, even though we all know that that's a lie. We knew it was a lie when he said it. Did he think that didn't mean him? May this level of delusion that made y'all trust and believe in this man and trust and believe that your proximity made you one of them never find me.
I just saw a video of Kamala Harris speaking, and she looks drunk, she looks incoherent, and holy freaking crap, we dodged a bullet. I mean, Donald Trump literally dodged a bullet for democracy. We know what's best for us. Glad we all participated in bringing a true leader back into the White House. God bless America, guys.
A few moments later.
I'm sorry to my community for voting the way I did. Now I can empathize and sympathize with the black community. Now that it's here with us too, it's like crap. I honestly, legitimately didn't think it was real. But it's real as hell. And it's obviously minority groups that are targeted and persecuted.
I didn't fucking vote for this. Number one, imagine that they give you freshly squeezed lemonade, and then you drink it and you enjoy it, whatever.
And now, with your brown ego bruised and your crumbled white fantasy, you come crawling back with your watered down lemonade analogy. He is another example that internalized racism is costly. He's only leaving MAGA now because he's just figured out that no matter how hard he betrays his own people, no matter how far he's shoved his tongue up white supremacy's ass, they still rejected him.
That's a nice family right here. That's a great family.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Where you guys from?
Colombia. Colombia?
And you stand with Trump. What do you say to someone that says Trump doesn't like Latinos?
Trump is family. Yes, yes.
De familia.
Trump is la familia.
Yeah, it's protection for USA. Okay?
Well said. God bless you.
We don't want communism here.
Trump is family? Is that what he just said? I have never laughed that hard in my life. If Trump is family, then it looks like the family reunion just turned into a full-blown food fight. Because from the looks of it, the so-called family is starting to turn on itself. And honestly, it's kind of poetic. It's like they thought they were stepping into some perfect MAGA paradise, but surprise, surprise, there's a storm in paradise. Or as they'd say in Spanish, tormenta en el paraíso. And trust me, this storm is just getting started. All right, let's roll the next clip and see how the family man is acting.
So the U.S. Supreme Court today overturned Judge Frimpong's injunction from June 11th, saying that in LA, the ICE agents needed to follow well-established law by the Fourth Amendment. They needed something more than just a person's race or how they look. And today, Trump's U.S. Supreme Court ruled that their ethnicity, the language they speak, the type of jobs that Latinos have, gardening, construction, can all be used as reasonable suspicion. Law professors are throwing out their curriculums because all established law is out the window. Latinos, regardless of citizenship status or immigration status, now have diminished rights under the Constitution. This is Trump's Supreme Court. And it seems now as though the law will change with whatever Trump requests. So we'll see where this leads us.
Wow. Daddy Trump really wants these people out of his country. According to him, they're not American enough. And yet somehow, a chunk of Latinos seems completely tone deaf to that reality. They voted on vibes, just like I told you. And honestly, this isn't just political. It's psychological, and we're going to unpack that later. But first, let's take a look at the effing around phase for some of these Latino Trump voters before we circle back to the inevitable find out phase. Because seriously, how in the world do you expect a man who has made it abundantly clear that he doesn't like you, or anyone who doesn't look like his inner circle of white nationalists, to care about your community? His right-hand man is Stephen Miller, for crying out loud, and Miller's entire political existence is built on trying to reshape America to fit a white nationalist fantasy. These folks are pandering, hoping to somehow squeeze their way into an in-group that will never fully accept them. They're trying to play a game that was never designed for them to win. Newsflash, he doesn't care about you. Let's take a look at the clips.
I think the key word here is illegal, right? We're Americans. Latinos are Americans. We're not illegal. We voted for who we think would represent our best interests. That would be Donald Trump. Latinos don't identify with Kamala Harris. You know, she's out there pandering and this and that. We're not with that. We're way past that. It just, you know, Donald Trump, he's a billionaire businessman, yet he's out there speaking like just the common folk. You know, one of the biggest reasons was obviously economical reasons. We voted because of our pockets.
I really feel like that we voted for President Trump because he really does stand for certain culture identities of outside of like just the color of our race, but also our morals, our values. And I really feel like that President Trump was the best selection for us to vote for, and that's why we actually voted for him.
Interesting, don't you think? The ability to say some of the things we've just heard, those wild, out-of-touch takes, often comes from a place of privilege. And I've got a few more clips to drive this point home. In my opinion, many of the Latinos who voted for Trump did it for three main reasons. The first one, that good old peer pressure. Yep, you heard me right. Grown adults can make some truly dumb decisions just to fit in with their crew. Their loud, macho friend who thinks he's a real tough guy says he's voting for Trump, and suddenly everyone else wants to look cool and tough too. If you know anything about certain parts of Latino culture, you know there's this generational thing, where men often raise kids with very little outward affection, because they believe showing too much love will make them weak. That mentality carries into adulthood, and yes, into politics too. The second reason is identity, and I'll touch on this more toward the end. It's this belief that if you act like, talk like, and vote like white folks, somehow you'll be accepted by them. Spoiler alert, with MAGA, it doesn't work like that. But the one I want to focus on right now is privilege. Because only someone who hasn't directly experienced the harsh realities faced by others in their own community would have the nerve to get up and say some of the things we've heard. They're speaking from a place of safety, often shielded from the real struggles, whether that's immigration profiling, economic hardship, or discrimination that others deal with daily. And that privilege gives them a warped lens through which they view these policies. The next two clips explain this perfectly. Take a look.
I'm sorry to my community for voting the way I did. I acknowledged the mistake earlier, but it's different. When you acknowledge something, it's kind of like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. When you say I'm sorry, it's more like, yeah, I fucked up. And I think I fucked up. Obviously, my one vote didn't make the difference. But it contributed. And I don't even know why I was like so bent out on the price of eggs. Price of gas and shit. I have a fucking Tesla. I'm blessed enough to not know how much milk or eggs or none of that bullshit cost. I have a fucking Tesla. I'm blessed enough to not know how much milk or eggs or none of that bullshit cost. Just go and buy it. My dumbass was joining the propaganda. Oh, look at all these people. They can't afford homes. Blah, blah, blah. I can go buy another fucking house. I fucked up royally. And so now, yes, at least I'm marching. I'm doing some research, spreading the word, but I truly wish that I was on the right side of history from the get-go.
Quick question for anyone who voted for Donald Trump. What are you going to tell your child when they come home from school crying because their best friend was just taken out of their classroom by an immigration agent?
I homeschool, so it's a non-issue, but if it's a mix-up and the child is completely legal in this country, then I would let my child know that will be cleared up. And if If they are not, and they will actually be deported, then I would have to tell them that sometimes if we break the law, there are consequences to those actions. And so we have to make sure that we always follow the laws of the country, the state, the city in which we live, because unfortunately there are consequences to breaking the law. And if their mom and dad broke the law, that's going to affect their lives as well. So we have to make sure that we know the laws and we follow the laws. And I think it would be an excellent teaching moment, because one day my child, maybe when they're older, they might have someone in their classroom that is actually breaking the law, and it just in the same way as they would if they stole something from a store and they would get arrested, it is the same thing because it is the law of the land.
You heard it with your own ears, right? The first guy straight up says he's got a freaking Tesla, and he doesn't care what the price of eggs or anything else costs. Must be nice, huh? That's some next level privilege right there. So why did he vote for Trump? Well, he told us earlier. It's all vibes, baby. Yep, vibes. He said Kamala looked drunk and had a weird laugh. Not policy, not the economy, not healthcare, just vibes. It's the same energy as that dude from the intro making corny jokes about Kamala's name, as if that's some kind of political analysis. It's giving room temperature IQ. And then there's the second lady. Whew. Another perfect example of privilege. Her kid is homeschooled. She seems completely sheltered from the reality that a lot of Latino families actually live through. She might even be married to a white man. I don't know. But if your kid is living in a bubble, how in the world are you going to come out here acting like you understand what's happening on the ground? Oh, and the cherry on top? She said it's criminals who are getting caught. Interesting choice of words, right? As if that's all ICE is out here doing. That's exactly the kind of naive thinking that happens when you live in a safe, insulated world. But as we're about to see in these next clips, a growing number of Latinos are finding out the hard way that it's not just the criminals or the so-called illegals being targeted. Let's take a look.
This story is absolutely insane and it's not getting nearly enough attention. ICE tricked this newlywed couple into showing up for what they thought was their final approval for a green card, only to arrest this guy's wife and send her 1,600 miles away to a prison, then not even allow the husband to go visit her.
The USCIS representative looked us right in the eyes and said everything was looking good. We let her out of our sight. She never came back. We were lied to. We were tricked in order to have her separated from the attorney that we brought with us specifically for any kind of worst case scenario like this.
That's not immigration enforcement. What he's describing is pure entrapment. That level of cruelty is staggering. They told this couple that everything looked good, everything was okay, only to trick them into separating the wife from their attorney so they could arrest her and send her away. Then they shipped her 1,600 miles away across the country, telling the husband that even if you wanted to go visit her, you're not allowed to. ICE claims the reason they did all this is because she missed a hearing in 2019, but the woman says she was never informed about that. And whether that's true or not, the question still remains, why would they treat her like she's a criminal when all of her paperwork was in order? Why would they use deception to entrap her, and why would they deliberately separate her from her attorney? It's because they knew what they were doing was wrong. The Republicans love to talk about being the party of law and order, but where's the law when you're deliberately tricking somebody and showing up for an appointment under false pretenses just to detain them? And where's the order when you're scattering families thousands of miles apart for no reason?
I'm disgusted that I have to deal with this on graduation and see one of my greatest friends be taken away for no reason.
An 18-year-old Milford High School student was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials. He's a junior at Milford High School. The boys' volleyball coach tells me he got a text before 8:30 Saturday morning from a student who was there when ICE took him away. They were driving to practice together when they got pulled over. ICE agents told the two other students in the car that they were let go because they were minors, according to the coach.
I was sitting there thinking, this can't be happening. It's one thing to see things happening in the world, and then it's another thing to have them directly impact the people that you work with and care for on a daily basis.
The police chief confirmed he's aware that the teenager was detained and it's something he's looking into, but the department was not involved.
Honestly, I'm feeling fed up. I'm kind of really upset that this happened to somebody that is so well loved by our community, somebody that would never do anything of the wrong. He's honestly an amazing person.
A police car behind me put the lights on, so I stepped on the side, right, to let him pass through, but it didn't happen, so it just parked in front of my car, the other one parked behind me, And they just got out of the car with the guns in the hands and say, turn off the car, give me the keys, open the window. And at this point, they didn't ask me for any ID. I was telling the officer if I can give him the ID, but he said that just keep my hands up, not moving. After that, he told me to get out of the car, and then he put the handcuffs on me. And then he went to me and said, how did I get into this country? And if I was waiting for court or if I have any case. And he looked at his other partner like, you know, smiling, like saying, can you believe this guy? At this point, I was with handcuffs sitting on the sidewalk. And then he took my ID and saw that it was a real ID. The other guy said, take the handcuffs off, take the handcuffs off. I was Trump supporter. I voted for Trump last elections, but because I thought it was going to be the things, you know, like be pointless, like just go against criminals, not every illegal Hispanic looking like that they will assume we are illegals. That's what they're doing now. They're just following Hispanic people looking like, because they didn't ask me for anything.
Do you have your passport?
Somewhere.
Can I see your passport, please? Do you have your visa?
I don't need a visa, sir. I am a U.S. citizen.
When did you become a U.S. citizen?
When? 2006.
Okay. Well, do you have your passport?
In a safe, but I don't have.
This is going to happen more and more. The Supreme Court cleared the way for federal agents to racially profile immigrants based on their color of skin, accent, and their race. And this is going to impact U.S. citizens like this woman who looks Hispanic. Previous federal courts said federal agents cannot use race, where people work, what they look like, to detain them. The Supreme Court says no, it's making their job more complicated and will allow it. As a result, you're going to see more people being detained, including U.S. citizens. This is going to harm families and small businesses. The fight is not over. We'll see more appeals on this, but this is a sad day for immigration and for immigrants.
This is what it's come to. A U.S. citizen is being held in a detention center by ICE. Not a resident, not a green card holder, not even someone who had applied for citizenship and gotten it, like as a grown-up, which would be valid if he had. No, he was born here in the state of Georgia, and he was traveling to Tallahassee, and there's a law in the books, which is being challenged, by the way, in Florida, that says it's illegal for an undocumented person to enter the state. The car he was in was pulled over. He wasn't driving. He was the passenger. He was suspected of no crime other than being an undocumented person entering the state, and he was arrested for that. And then he had a court date where his mother showed up with his birth certificate, handed it to the judge. The judge confirmed this is an authentic birth certificate. This person is a U.S. citizen by birth, and my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do because he's on a federal ICE hold. His crime was being brown and having a Latino name. That's what he was guilty of. And he is still incarcerated right now as a U.S. fucking citizen. Hey, Miami Cubans that are all pro-Trump, this can be you. It happens this easy. People who aren't getting due process are being shipped to a prison in El Salvador. And now people who are U.S. citizens and are proving I'm a U.S. citizen are still being incarcerated. You need to be worried.
All of my life, 50 years I've been here, I've never been harassed by Border Patrol on this side of the border like this. This is outrageous.
Why are we not allowed to be here? Because we're not white? Our skin doesn't match?
That's George Doylis. He and his wife are from Imperial Valley, and they love to camp. So when they were headed up to a dental specialist in North County on Wednesday, they decided to explore Jacumba and this area around Boulevard. They headed up this road to see if they could find a campsite, and that's when they say their day took a very different turn.
We didn't think anything of it. We're an American citizens. We're on U.S. soil. Why should we be afraid?
George and his wife Esmeralda say an unmarked SUV started following them and pulled them over. They say Border Patrol agents first approached wearing masks.
So the reason why we're stopping you is because you do U-turns and there's a known alien out in the area.
He told the agents where they were going and that they did not consent to any search.
If you have a dentist appointment, it probably wasn't the best decision to be out in the middle of nowhere.
No, we have the right to travel anywhere we want to travel.
You do. You're absolutely right, you do. And I actually have the right and authority to stop you.
The couple sat in their car as the agents brought a canine.
It's called reasonable suspicion.
Do you think that they had reasonable suspicion to stop you and search your vehicle?
Not at all. Not at all.
The dog did smell a small amount of legally purchased cannabis, so they got out for a full search. 30 minutes in, the agent says he could take their vehicle, but...
I'm going to go ahead and let you off with a warning.
George and Esmeralda both voted for the first time in 2020 and again in 2024 for President Donald Trump. As they see his immigration crackdown, do you regret your vote?
Yes, I do. Very much so. I feel shame, guilt, and anger at the same time.
You know, with everything I just showed you, you'd think Latinos would be the last group to still be waving the Trump flag like it's a family reunion barbecue. But nope, there are countless Latinos out here supporting him with their whole chest. And honestly, it blows my mind every time. But as the saying goes, you have to F around to find out, so maybe their day is coming. Who knows? Let's circle back to the why though, because this isn't just random. There's actually a deep psychological and cultural layer to this, and when you peel it back, it starts to make a lot more sense, even if it's frustrating. First off, there's self-loathing and identity dissonance. Many Latinos, especially those who are second or third generation, grow up in environments where they're subtly, and sometimes very openly, taught that proximity to whiteness equals safety, status, or acceptance. You're praised for not being like the others, for speaking English a certain way, for not having too heavy an accent, for dressing or acting American. And by American, let's be honest, they mean white American. That kind of conditioning messes with your head. Over time, some people start to internalize the message that being Latino isn't enough. That to really make it, you've got to align yourself with the dominant in-group. And Trump, whether they like to admit it or not, represents that in-group. Not because he's actually smart or capable, but because he embodies this white nationalist fantasy of what real America looks like. And some Latinos, especially those who've benefited from a little bit of privilege, want to be on the winning team, even if that team doesn't actually want them. Now, let's bring in a bit of neuroscience to explain why this happens. Humans are wired for belonging. There's a region in the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, which basically lights up like a Christmas tree when we experience social exclusion. Your brain registers social rejection the same way it registers physical pain. That's why being left out of a group, being mocked, or feeling like an outsider can hit so hard. It's not just in your feelings, it's literally in your brain chemistry. So what happens when a Latino person grows up feeling like they're straddling two worlds? The culture of their heritage and the dominant white culture. Many end up choosing the one that seems to offer more security and status. And politically, for some, that's Trump's America. Even if, ironically, it's the same system that would happily throw them under the bus the second it's convenient. And this isn't some abstract theory either. You see it play out in real life all the time. Think about that one Latino coworker who laughs just a little too hard at racist jokes in the break room. Or the one relative at Thanksgiving who says, "Well, I came here legally, so I don't care what happens to the others." As if ICE is going to give them a special "you're one of the good ones" card. That's not strength. That's survival through assimilation. And it's tragic because it often comes at the expense of their own community. Race complicates this even further. Within Latino communities, there's a spectrum of colorism that mirrors the same hierarchies we see in broader society. Lighter-skinned Latinos often experience certain privileges, whether that's fewer interactions with law enforcement, better treatment in schools, or simply not being read as foreign. And for some, that creates a false sense of insulation. Well, they're not talking about me. I'm not that kind of Latino. But reality check. To Trump and his buddies like Stephen Miller, if you don't fit that white nationalist aesthetic, you're not on the team. Period. You can wave the flag, buy the merch, vote red all you want. The moment it's politically advantageous to throw you under the bus, they'll do it without blinking. Here's a relatable example. Imagine you're in high school and there's this popular clique. You're not really part of it, but you desperately want to fit in. So you start laughing at their jokes, dressing like them, agreeing with their takes, maybe even talking down on your own friends to prove your loyalty. They let you hang around a bit, but when prom night comes and they need to pick a date, guess what? You're still not part of the inner circle. You were convenient, you were entertainment, but you were never one of them. That's exactly what's happening here politically.
You can hope all you want that Latinos for Trump are going to fuck around and find out now that the Supreme Court has ruled that ICE can racially profile people on the street if they look like illegal aliens. But it doesn't matter, because Latinos for Trump have been pretending like they are white, assimilating into white culture so long that they think they look white and they don't think they're going to be racially profiled. They don't think they stick out to ICE. They have whitewash goggles so badly that they think to a gang of ICE agents that they look like a white person.
How does the Latino vote differ so much from the black vote? Because we got our own white people. Oh. And people don't understand that we have all, and the assimilation possibility for Latinx, Latin people is higher. People can come from other parts of Latin America, marry white as like they're told to do, assimilate and assume a white identity that black people cannot escape from. So they will continue to vote in that way because to them that's upward mobility. And unfortunately for us, success means being patted on the back. Not all of us, because y'all gonna go crazy on Twitter. I ain't got a Twitter, so it's okay. But they get the pat on the back from white people, and they feel like that's what being American is. Damn. And that colorism is real in our community.
Many Latino Trump supporters think they're securing their place at the table, but they don't realize that the table was never set for them. And it's not just cultural, it's political and dangerous. The Supreme Court's recent ruling allowing ICE to profile based on appearance is a direct threat. It doesn't matter how many MAGA hats you own or how many times you shout, "Build the wall." If you don't look the part, you're in the crosshairs too. So when I say this is psychological, I mean it. It's about identity, belonging, fear, and the very human need to avoid pain, even if that means betraying your own interests. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever encountered someone in your community who supports something that clearly goes against their own well-being? Have you experienced this kind of pressure to fit in or be accepted by a group that doesn't actually accept you? Drop your stories below. This is a conversation we need to have openly.